Have you ever noticed that some people seem strangely calm on the worst days, almost as if they're following a secret script? In Japan, many of these reactions are guided by cultural principles that quietly shape how they face stress, frustration, and unexpected problems. Instead of preguntar, "Why is this happening to me?" the Japanese mindset tend to preguntar, "How can I walk through this with dignity and balance?" On hard days, Japanese life often se organiza en torno de pequenas rotinas. Arrumar a cama, preparar chá quente, organizar o ambiente antes de tomar decisões. These tiny actions are not just habits, they are anchors that tell the brain you still have control over something, even when the rest feels out of control. That is one of the first differences. They start by cuidar do entorno before tentar consertar o mundo entero. And there is another subtle shift. In place of dramatizing every difficulty, many Japanese prefer a quiet, steady attitude. Problems are seen almost like bad weather. They come, they stay for a while, and then they go. But you don't stop living because it's raining. This mental framing makes hard days feel less like a personal punishment and more like a phase that can be crossed with calm discipline. If you want to learn how to absorb more of this Japanese calm into your own life, hit the subscribe button now so you don't miss the upcoming videos where we dive even deeper into these principles and show you how to apply them step by step. Ikigai can be understood as the reason you wake up in the morning, even when the day ahead looks heavy. It's not just about having a big life purpose. Sometimes Ikigai is something small, like taking care of a plant, improving one skill by 1%, or being present for one important person. On difficult days, remembering even a tiny Ikigai can be enough to stop you from giving up emotionally. The Japanese approach to Ikigai is not rushed. You don't have to discover your life mission overnight. Instead, you explore where 4 things slowly overlap: what you love, what you are good at, what the world needs, and what can sustain your life. Even if you're lost, simply asking, "What tiny thing today gives me a sense of meaning?" already pulls your mind out of the chaos and into direction. When everything feels pointless, Ikigai acts like a quiet whisper in the background saying, "Maybe not everything is perfect, but this one thing still matters." On hard days, focusing on that single thread of meaning can be the difference between feeling crushed and feeling challenged. It doesn't remove the pain, but it gives the pain a context and a reason to keep moving forward. Gaman can be translated as enduring with patience and dignity, but it goes beyond just holding it in. It is about facing discomfort, frustration, or pain without exploding at everyone around you or losing your sense of self. Instead of asking life to be easy, Gaman trains your inner strength so that you can stay centered even when life is not. On hard days, Gaman means you don't need to complain about every single difficulty to everyone. It doesn't mean you never ask for help, but it means you choose carefully how you respond. You breathe, you slow down your words, and you remind yourself that your reaction is one of the few things you still control. That quiet control becomes a kind of inner pride. I went through this without letting it destroy my character.
This principle doesn't celebrate suffering for the sake of suffering. It celebrates resilience. With Gaman, the goal is not to pretend nothing hurts, but to refuse to let pain turn you into someone bitter, aggressive, or cruel. You acknowledge the storm, but you decide to remain a steady mountain instead of turning into another storm yourself. Ganbaru is often translated as do your best, but in Japanese culture it carries a deeper flavor. It means to keep going, to persevere with effort, especially when things get tough. On difficult days, this principle reminds you that the moment you feel like stopping is often the exact moment when continuing will transform you the most. Rather than asking, "Will this work?" Ganbaru shifts the question to, "Who am I becoming by continuing?" The focus leaves results and moves toward character. Maybe the project fails, maybe the plan changes, but every time you choose to persist with integrity, you are strengthening a muscle that will help you.
Instead of chasing a perfect, smooth life, Wabi-sabi teaches you to respect the cracks. Your scars, emotional or physical, are not evidence that you are broken. They are evidence that you have lived. On hard days, remembering this takes away a bit of shame and replaces it with tenderness toward yourself. In many Japanese homes, small rituals structure the day. A quiet cup of tea, a mindful bath, cleaning the entrance of the house, or arranging objects neatly. These actions may look insignificant, but on a bad day, they can become emotional reset buttons. Instead of waiting for motivation to magically appear, you create it through simple, repeated gestures. The power of these rituals is that they are predictable and manageable. Even when everything else feels chaotic, you can still choose to wash your face slowly, light a candle, or organize your desk. These small acts send a signal to your brain that life has not completely fallen apart. There is still order, there is still beauty, and there is still something you can do. Over time, these rituals become like micro-habits of resilience. On hard days, they gently remind you, you've been here before, and you have survived before. Instead of planning a giant transformation, you stabilize yourself one tiny action at a time, and that is often enough to carry you through the worst moments. Wa, the concept of harmony, is central in Japanese culture. It values peaceful relationships, balanced environments, and the reduction of unnecessary conflict. On stressful days, this principle can be the difference between a difficult situation and a completely disastrous one, because it asks, how can I avoid making this worse for myself and others? In practice, Wa means you think twice before releasing your frustration on people around you. You might choose softer words, a calmer tone, or even a moment of silence instead of a harsh reaction. You still feel what you feel, but you don't turn every discomfort into a fight. This protects your relationships and stops your bad day from escalating into a bad week. By seeking harmony, you also choose environments and habits that soothe rather than agitate you. A tidy space, a short walk, 5 minutes away from screens. When you nurture Wa in your daily life, hard days find you surrounded by less chaos, which makes it easier to recover your emotional balance. If you want to go even deeper into how Japanese habits can upgrade your mindset, watch one of the videos on the screen now that best matches what you are facing today, whether it's stress, lack of focus, or low motivation. And keep building this new way of living step by step. In Japan, there is a strong sense of belonging.
Instead of seeing asking for help as a weakness, the collective mindset treats it as part of how a group functions. You support others when they are struggling, and they support you when your turn comes. Sometimes this help is not dramatic. It can be a colleague quietly taking a task from your hands, a neighbor checking on you, or a friend walking with you in silence. Seeing yourself as part of a larger we reduces the pressure on the I. You realize that you are allowed to be tired and still be respected. Hard days are easier when you know you're not walking through them completely alone, and when supporting each other is seen as normal, not as an exception. Kintsugi is the Japanese art of repairing broken pottery with precious materials, often gold, making the object more beautiful for having been broken. Applied to the mind, Kintsugi becomes a powerful metaphor. Your emotional scars are not something to hide in shame, but something that can be integrated into a stronger, richer version of yourself. On hard days, it is easy to think, this is breaking me. The Kintsugi mindset gently adjusts that thought to, this might be marking me, but I can decide how I will repair myself. The gold in this process can be therapy, honest conversations, journaling, or time spent in reflection. The pain doesn't vanish, but it becomes part of a story that carries wisdom, compassion, and depth.
Instead of chasing the fantasy of going back to who you were before the difficulty, you allow yourself to become someone new after it. That shift is crucial. You stop waiting to be unbroken and start learning how to be beautifully repaired. Your cracks become a map of everything you have survived. Modern life pushes speed. Quick results, immediate answers, instant progress. Japanese culture, however, contains a deep respect for patience and gradual improvement. On difficult days, this idea that slow can also mean strong is a direct antidote to despair. You don't have to fix everything today. You only need to take the next honest step. When you accept that meaningful change takes time, the pressure on each day decreases. A bad day stops feeling like the end of the world and becomes just one frame in a long movie. You learn to say, "Today was heavy, but this is not my whole life story." That thought alone creates breathing room inside your mind. This patience also applies to your own emotions. Instead of demanding that you get over it immediately, you allow your feelings to move at a human pace. You can be sad and still be moving forward, even if slowly. In this rhythm, tiny daily efforts accumulate into powerful transformation over months and years. In many Japanese practices, from martial arts to work routines, there is a strong awareness of limits. The body's limits, attention limits, energy limits. On hard days, respecting these limits is a form of intelligence, not laziness. You recognize that rest is not an escape from life, but part of how you stay capable of facing it.
Instead of forcing yourself to function at 100% all the time, you learn to slow down before you collapse. This might mean taking a short break, sleeping earlier, or saying no to one extra commitment. When you treat your energy as something valuable, you stop sacrificing your future well-being just to survive the present moment. Rest without guilt creates a stable foundation. You become someone who can endure challenges over the long term because you know when to pause, recover, and then continue. On hard days, this can be the difference between a temporary low and a deep burnout. Gratitude in the Japanese sense is often subtle and detailed. Appreciation for a hot meal, a train arriving on time, the sound of rain, or the way someone wrapped an object carefully. On bad days, training your eyes to notice these microscopic details can gently pull your attention away from what is terrible and toward what is still quietly good. This is not about denying your problems or pretending everything is fine. It is about allowing both realities to exist at the same time. Yes, today is hard, and yes, there are still small things worth appreciating. That "and" is powerful. It prevents your mind from collapsing into a narrative where everything is awful and always will be. When you end a difficult day by naming 3 very small things you are thankful for, you are training your brain to look for light even in dark rooms. Over weeks and months, this habit builds a more resilient, balanced perception of life, one that can hold both pain and beauty without breaking. The Japanese principles we explored, from Ikigai, Gaman, and Ganbaru, to Wabi-sabi, Wa, and Kintsugi, are not meant to be admired from a distance. They are meant to be practiced in the middle of real life.